first 10 years of my investing career, I did not even know that existed. I didn't know that you could buy properties at 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar. I didn't know how to market directly to those sellers and essentially find properties off market. So in the last 4 years, I have flipped over 350 properties, and the majority of those have been wholesales. So I learned how to wholesale. And then what we do in my business is we keep the best and sell the rest. So what that means is, wholesaling is kind of a means to an end for me. It's the best way to find the best deals. So the best deals, the absolute very best ones that come across, my desk or my partner's desks, we will keep those and we'll fix and flip those because we have good margins on them, or we'll add those into our rental portfolio.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. And today we have David Dodge. David is the co-founder of Discount Property Investor. Discount Property Investor is a real estate investment company that focuses on wholesaling, fix and flips, and rentals of single-family homes. David, thank you so much for joining us, and how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you, Dwaine, for having me, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, we talked a couple days ago. I just like it because you got so much energy. You're doing a lot of big things down there in St. Louis. So I was like, gotta get you on the podcast and learn more about your business and give some more value to our listeners.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. I'm grateful for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So for the people who are not too familiar with it, I know you're really big on YouTube, podcasting, social media. Your name is out there. But for the people who are not familiar with you, would you mind just sharing a little bit about your background, how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. So I've been investing in real estate since I was 21 years old. I just had my 35th birthday last week. So
Nice.
I've been investing in real estate for 14 years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. However, the first 10 years, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a passive investor. I was buying properties off the MLS, paying retail, getting loans from the bank at 80% leverage, meaning that I would need to come up with 20%. So I was getting that 20% from friends and family. They would lend me that 20%. I would go get a loan. I'd buy the property. And then over the next year to 2 years, I'd do everything in my power to pay that friend or family member back that 20%. And over the first 10 years, I did about one a year. And I was, again, very passively doing this. So I really didn't really consider myself to be, a full-time investor at that point. I had different jobs, was running different businesses. So at that, the first 10 years, very, very passively. And then 4 years ago, I decided to jump in full-time and become a full-time investor. And really what sparked that interest was I learned all about wholesaling. I didn't know about wholesaling until 4 years ago. The first 10 years of my investing career, I did not even know that existed. I didn't know that you could buy properties at 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar. I didn't know how to market directly to those sellers and essentially find properties off market. So in the last 4 years, I have flipped over 350 properties, and the majority of those have been wholesales. So I learned how to wholesale. And then what we do in my business is we keep the best and sell the rest. So what that means is, wholesaling is kind of a means to an end for me. It's the best way to find the best deals. So the best deals, the absolute very best ones that come across, my desk or my partner's desks, we will keep those and we'll fix and flip those because we have good margins on them, or we'll add those into our rental portfolio. The rest of the deals that we get under contract or that come across our desk, we wholesale those. So again, been investing for 14 years, full-time for only 4. So I really only consider myself as an investor, like a full-time investor, for 4 years, not 14, which is a big, big difference. So that's a little bit about me. I do wholesale. I do fix and flip. As of last night, I have 51 rental properties. I got my 51st property online yesterday evening. I am the author of the ultimate guide to wholesaling real estate. I'm not here to pitch my book or my product or any of that stuff. So I'm not trying to sell you guys, but I am an author of a book. You can find that on Amazon. And with that book, there is a companion course. And this is really, really cool, guys. If you're listening or viewing this particular episode, you do not need to buy the book to get the content. You can actually go check out my free course online. And it's the best domain possible for what we do. It's a course that's free on wholesaling. So the domain is freewholesalecourse.com. Love that domain. It's so easy to remember, freewholesalecourse.com. I'm not selling anything, guys. It's free. Go check it out. It teaches you anything and everything that you would need to know to get started in wholesaling and what wholesaling consists of. So that's kind of who I am. My company does 8 to 10 deals a month on the low side. Some months we'll do a little bit more. I don't think I will. But all in all, I love investing. I love wholesaling. I love fix and flip. I love rentals, all the above. And I'm just really happy that you had me on the show today. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really cool that, like I said, in that short amount of time that you guys did so many deals, 300 plus deals, and you got tons of rentals. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are listening are probably like guessing, like, how do you get started like that? Or what kind of sparked that initial from you going to like one deal a year to over? Was there any person that was doing that you said, I'm gonna do this, or you just kind of just figured it out yourself because you're actively in it already? Like what started it off for you?
That is a great question. So essentially, out of college, so I started buying rentals when I was 21 years old. I was in college, just getting a bachelor's degree. And after college, I had various jobs in sales and marketing for the next 9 to 10 years. I guess I should say for probably the next 4 to 5 years. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, I was still doing sales and marketing, but I was working for myself. I was an entrepreneur. I started up tons of little businesses that were not very successful. Most of them failed. And that's okay. I learned a ton of lessons the hard way, but the entire time, I personally was focusing my time and energy on either the sales or the marketing aspect of those businesses. So I learned a lot about sales and marketing. And then whenever I turned, 31, I'm 35 now, so 4 years ago, when I turned about 31, I was like, being an entrepreneur is tough. I dabbled a little bit in this investment game by owning, at that point in time, I owned about 9 or 10 rental properties. And I just said, you know what, let's just jump in. Let's just try this. Let's try to go full time doing this and see how it works. And if 6 or 8 months goes by and I can't make it work, well, that's okay. I'll just move on to the next thing. And I just started reading every book I could on real estate investing. Back then there was podcasts, but they weren't as popular as they are now. And most of the things I learned were in books. There was a few people that had some decent online courses that I had purchased. And then there was a local guy that I kind of teamed up with to, I hired him to be my mentor. You could call it a coach, but it was really a short-term thing. I was only working with him for about 8 weeks. And in that time span, he introduced me to wholesaling, and he taught me that I didn't need to go buy properties on the MLS. There was a better way about doing it. And that way includes learning how to market. So I had mentioned earlier that wholesaling to me is a means to an end. I love wholesaling because there's no better way to make a ton of money really quickly. But wholesaling is a job. It's a hustle. And although I love that job, I love that hustle, I don't want to do it forever. So to me, wholesaling is a means to an end. It's the way to get the very, very, very best deals. And then I can keep those, like I said, to fix and flip those or add them to my rental portfolio. But everything else, I then wholesale. So I use my wholesale business as a means to an end to just go out and find the very best deals for myself. Everything else that I don't decide to keep, we then wholesale those off. In my market, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. Our average wholesale fees are quite a bit lower than the average around the country. I think the average around the country is probably around 10 or 12,000 per deal. In my market, we typically average around 6 or 7,000 per deal. However, the caveat is the cost per lead or the cost per deal is substantially lower in my market than it would be in those markets where you're going to be making the 10 or 12,000. So it kind of averages out. My cost per deal is typically only about 1,500 to 2,000. So we have a pretty good margin of return on those wholesales. And I love wholesaling. I'll probably never stop wholesaling. But again, what's so important about wholesaling is learning that if you want to become a wholesaler, you need to understand one main thing, just one. You are in the marketing business. You are not in the real estate investing business as a wholesaler. Now, when you decide to fix and flip that property, or you decide to keep it as a rental, in my opinion, everyone has their own opinion. You may or may not agree, but in my opinion, as a wholesaler, you're not really an investor. What you are is you're a marketing expert. So real estate is the product that's being bought and sold, but the business itself is marketing. So let's talk a little bit about marketing if we can. We do tons of marketing. We send out postcards and yellow letters to distressed sellers. We purchase lists online for that. We do driving for dollars, and we'll create our own list for that. We do door knocking, we do cold calling, we do cold texting. We have ads online, like via AdWords or Bing. I'm actually on the radio locally now. We have a small budget, it's nothing crazy, a couple thousand a month, but it broadcasts our message, 30, 40 miles in every direction, which is really, really awesome, and it's powerful. So we do a lot of different things, a lot of different techniques to market to all the motivated sellers in town. Let them know, hey, we have a service that we can provide. And what is that service? Well, from a 10,000 foot view, it is so incredibly simple. What I do in my wholesaling business is this simple. I trade convenience for a discount. That's it. That's all I do. Now, we can dive deep and get into the weeds on different topics, but from the 10,000 foot view, all we do is we tell, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, we are here to help you. We can close fast, we can offer cash, and we can buy is. All those things are really just convenience, right? But I'm not really in the business of breaking even or losing money. By definition, the definition of business is the act of making money. So for me to be a good business person, I can't buy properties at a retail price and break even or even lose on them. I have to buy them at a discount. So when somebody comes to me and they say, hey, Dave, I got a letter, I heard you on the radio, I saw your ad on Google, whatever it might be, and I have this property, I always lead with this. Hey, thank you so much for calling. I hope that I'm going to be able to help you, but I want to make something very clear from the beginning of this call. I am an investor and I don't pay retail. So if that's what you're looking for, then maybe I can still help you by pointing you in the right direction or introducing you to an agent that can list your property for you and maybe get you close to retail or retail. But if you're looking to sell it to me and you're looking for retail, I'm not the guy for you. I'm not interested. And by doing that, it lets them know, exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking to help them, but I'm looking to help them and help me at the same time. It needs to be the win-win scenario there. But at the very same time, I don't want to waste time going on appointments, driving out to people's houses, if I know from the get-go that they're not motivated. So I'm really just trying to determine motivation. And then when I get out in the field and I run reports on the ARV and look at the repairs, and I go ahead and I make those offers to people, my offers are typically going to be anywhere between 50 and 65 cents on the dollar. Okay?
Wow, cool.
So again, I make it very clear though, I'm an investor, I don't pay retail. If that's what you want, I can help you, but it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody else that I'm going to be able to introduce you to, either an agent that works for our brokerage or just another friend that I know that may be interested in a property in that area, something along those lines. But I try to make it very clear that I trade convenience for a discount. So if they aren't willing to give me a discount, well, I'm not really trying to make their life convenient, right? That doesn't really benefit me, right? So again, I trade convenience for a discount. And if people are motivated enough to where they don't want to clean the house, they don't want to make repairs, they do need to sell it fast for whatever reason, and the fact that I pay cash helps because it shortens the time to close. If you had to go to a bank or a hard money lender, not saying that that can't happen quickly, but it definitely doesn't happen in 10 to 14 days.
Exactly.
Whereas I can close a deal in 10 to 14 days. But I really, really want to reiterate something. I've said it 4 or 5 times. I'm going to say it again. All I do is trade convenience for a discount. So if they're not willing to give me a discount, again, I'm not like, why would I want to make it convenient for them? So here's a perfect example. Last year, me and my team, my partners are sitting right here with me. Me and my team
I'll keep you honest, don't worry.
Keep me honest. Me and my team bought 98 houses last year. All right? Take a guess how many of those I needed. 0. I didn't need any.
Exactly.
I didn't need any of those houses. So what we do is when we make our offers, we make an offer that says, okay, I want it at this price, right? I can't walk away at this price, but I'm definitely not really trying to pay much more than that price, right? So I have kind of changed my whole mindset over the last 4 years. The first year that I was in wholesaling, I was chasing deals, man. I was working hard, chasing deals, and I was getting deals, and I was wholesaling those deals. But after about a year of that, I kind of pivoted my whole mindset to stop chasing deals and essentially say, if you want this to be convenient for you, if you want to, take me up on my offer to make your life convenient, then you need to give me a discount, period. And what I started doing is I started making offers, and I kind of just started standing my ground. I didn't chase people around, begging them to take my offer. I just said, hey, when you're ready to sell, let me know. And oftentimes people won't like my offer. No big deal. Most of the time they don't like my offer. And what they go do is they go try to sell it on their own. They go try to hire an agent. They may list it on the market. It may sit for 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Who knows? A year. And what typically happens is they call me back.
Yeah.
They tried. And the average deal that we do takes 4 to 6 months for that reason. So I'm not saying that people don't call me today and that I'll go visit their house tomorrow and have it under contract the following day and have it sold early next week, because we do that a lot too. We do that all the time. But the average deal that we do in our wholesale business takes 4 to 6 months from the initial point of contact. Regardless if I'm calling them, reaching out because they have a for sale by owner or a rental property, or if they get a letter from me or hear one of my ads or whatever the case is, that is the initial point of contact. And the average time frame that it takes us to close a deal is between 4 and 6 months. So again, we can do them in 1 or 2, 3 days, but we also have sellers that call us today and they may not call us back for 2 years. So we average all that together. The average deal takes about 4 to 6 months. But I don't want, anyone that's listening to this podcast or watching us online to, have anxiety about that, because what happens is you build up this big funnel of leads. Exactly. And over time, people become more and more motivated to sell. And really the only thing that helps with getting somebody more motivated from our point of view is time. You have to let them understand that, their asking price isn't reasonable. It's retail, or maybe even in some scenarios above retail. So we make our offer and then we stand by that offer. We don't chase, we don't come up. Now, when I say we don't come up, 20%, 15% on our offer. If somebody's asking 80 and I offer 60, would I be willing to pay 62 or 63? Yeah, of course. But whenever somebody says, hey, let's meet in the middle, to me, that means I'm going to come up a little bit and they're going to come down a lot. That's my middle. Okay? I don't like middles like this. I like my middles to be like this. I will always come up a little bit because nobody wants to work with a prick. It says, this is my offer. It's my best offer. My next offer is lower, right? Nobody wants to deal with that person. But you lose profits when you start chasing deals and you start coming up. So what often happens is somebody will come to me. Let's just use some easy math for scenario. They have a property. Doesn't matter what the ARV is. Doesn't matter what the repairs are. They're asking 80, and I'm offering 60, right? What typically happens is they'll go try to sell that house for a month or 2 or 3 or whatever, and then they'll come back and they'll say, Dave, you know, I love that you want to buy it, but I can't do 60. I'm asking 80. You know, could you do 75? And I say, nope, I can do 61. So they came down 5, I went up 1.
Mm-hmm.
They say, that's just not going to work. And I say, okay, well, let me know when you're ready. I don't need that house, but I will happily buy it. I will happily get rid of your problem, but I need to get something in return. This needs to be a win-win. So then they'll go out and they'll do it again. They'll try to sell it on their own. They may or may not hire an agent. And then they'll come back and they'll say, Dave, can you do 70? And I'll say, no, but I can do 62, right? And then what happens is we keep negotiating. And this process doesn't typically take days. Unfortunately, it takes weeks or months, right? And it doesn't necessarily involve you working on it every day. You may only talk to the seller 4 or 5 times over the course of 4 to 6 months. But what typically happens is after they try and try and try, they start to come to a realization that the price that they're asking isn't reasonable because nobody's offered to pay them that.
Exactly.
And then what happens is they get motivated enough and they just say, hey, Dave, I'm tired of doing this back and forth. Can you do 65? And I'll say, nope, but I will come up again and I'll pay you 63. And then we essentially meet in the middle of 62 and 65, right? So again, my middle is usually me coming up about 5 to maybe 10% of the original offer and getting them to come down 20, 30, 40% of what they're asking. And that's really how it's done. That's the magic right there. So you have to learn how to market to find these motivated sellers. You know, running comps and determining ARVs, that's easy, guys. There's great systems out there to help you with that. PropStream runs nationwide comps. You know, I'm a big proponent of PropStream. Or just, you know, get local MLS access via an agent. If you have a friend that's an agent, there's a little known secret out there. You can become an assistant to an agent for like $100 or $150 a year and get MLS access without even being an agent.
Wow.
Assistant to an agent. And that's in any and every MLS zone. Doesn't matter where you live. So that's a little secret right there, a little tip to getting your local MLS access if you don't already have it.
Yeah, I love it. I love your approach. It's just, yeah, that's awesome. And it's right on point. So now we're going from the part from tons of marketing, getting leads, negotiating deals. You found the right deal. Now for the end buyer. So like, how are you guys, you know, finding end buyers? Is it Facebook ads? Is it, you know, all over the place, just building a huge database and kind of just ready to flip these contracts over?
I mean, that's a great question. So we do a lot of marketing to get the motivated sellers. The process of getting the motivated seller like the first time in order to get the contract, it can take as little as 1 day. It can take, for me, as long as 3 years in some scenarios. The average is 4 to 6. So that's great. We've addressed all that. Once we get that particular property under contract, I had mentioned earlier that we love to cherry pick. So we keep the best and we sell the rest. That's Bill's favorite slogan. He's over here giggling. Keep the best, sell the rest. So the best ones, we're not going to wholesale. We're going to keep. But the ones that aren't the best, they're still good deals because, again, we don't chase. We stopped doing that 3 years ago. We make offers and we stick really close to them. We make up a little, but we're not chasing. We're not paying that 70, 75K in that scenario. We're paying 60 to 63, okay? Then what we do is we have that contract and we take that to our buyers list. So over the last 4 years, we have built up a pretty significant, pretty substantial list of buyers in the St. Louis area, as well as foreign buyers that don't live in Missouri. They may live in another state or even another country.
Nice.
So there's lots of strategies and techniques to build that buyers list. So I'll give you guys a couple. My favorite way to go about doing it is just go to your local REIAs. REIA clubs are real estate investment associations. That's what that REIA stands for. It's basically just a bunch of people that like to invest or want to invest in real estate, and they get together. They get together maybe once a month or every other week or quarterly, whatever it might be. And there is so many of these clubs. So in St. Louis, we have a population of, I don't know, Bill, we got 2 million here. About 2.5 million people in St. Louis. And there is a REIA club twice a week here. So there's literally 7 or 8 REIAs a month. Where do you go to find REIAs? Go to meetup.com.
Mm.
There's all types of meetups, okay? Not every meetup is a REIA. There could be meetups on sewing and cooking and all this different stuff. But what you want to look for is just real estate. Look for that term. Type in real estate in a zip code, and you're going to get a list of real estate clubs, landlord clubs, wholesaling clubs, fix and flip clubs, real estate clubs in general, and go to those clubs. Typically, they're going to be free, but there might be 10, 20, 25 bucks to attend. And typically, the ones that you're paying for have food and drinks, so it's not a complete loss. But at these clubs, there are people like me who buy 100 houses a year. There's other people who just do a couple fix and flips. There's going to be wholesalers. So what you want to do is you want to network with every single person in that room. Your goal should be to leave that room with everyone's business card. Because in these 1, 2, maybe 2.5 hour sessions, there is not enough time to network with everybody. It's just, there's not. Some of these clubs in St. Louis are 100, 200, 250 people. Some of them may only be 20 or 30. All right. I like to go to both big and small. But the idea is just to get around that room, get everyone's card. Reason is you can call them later that day. You can call them tomorrow. You can call them next week. And you can spend 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with those people. And you can ask them what kind of investing they're looking to do. Are they looking for rehabs? Are they looking for rental properties? And then you can start building out your buyers list that way. That's my favorite way, because I can actually build a relationship with these people versus just capturing an email and sending them an email.
Exactly.
Now, we do that too, of course, but I prefer to build a relationship, because then when people do get that email, they're more likely to open it, read it, and ask questions or engage with it, right? So that's my favorite strategy, would be to go to these local REIAs. Another couple good strategies are, so we have a website that we use. I highly recommend getting a website. If you don't have a website, the easiest way to go about it is using Google Photos. Google Photos is free, and it's a shareable link. You can throw in all your pictures, you can throw in your comps, you can throw in videos. Really cool. But we have a website, and we then email and text that out to everybody. We encourage the people that get those emails to forward them to their friends, right? Another thing that we do is we watermark all of the photos that we add to our website. Reason is because we also add that property listing and those photos to Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, as well as 1 or 2, sometimes 3 local, that's the big keyword there, local real estate investing groups on Facebook. So we really, really, really leverage Facebook, Craigslist, and groups within Facebook, okay? So no matter what city you live in, I'm going to throw a couple cities out: Phoenix, Memphis, and Tampa. Doesn't matter, right? Go to Facebook, type in Tampa real estate in the groups area. Phoenix real estate. What was the other one? Tampa, Phoenix, doesn't matter. Put your city in and then type in real estate. And what happens is you're going to be introduced to groups, people that have created these groups. And some of my best cash buyers, some of my best ones are in the local group that live 3 or 4 miles down the road that I never met. They may go to REIAs, we never cross paths, right? So these local Facebook groups are really, really, really powerful. Facebook Marketplace is powerful because anybody in the world can search that, as well as Craigslist. But that's also another reason why we watermark all of our photos. One, it prevents the competition from trying to market our deal, which we don't necessarily care if they do, as long as they tack their fee on top. But there's been lots of scenarios where somebody will just start marketing our deal without our permission, hoping they can find a buyer over what we're asking, and then they can bring it to us later. I personally don't get upset about it. I know certain people out there get really upset. I don't really care. But what happens is whenever they take our photos and they start marketing them, people will go to our website and reach out to us directly versus them. So it kind of cuts them out without them knowing it. So I really like that technique of watermarking. Also, watermarking has a lot of really, really good advantages, because let's say I put a deal up on Craigslist and it sells in 4 hours, right? It doesn't always happen that way, but it does sometimes. And let's say that I don't get in Craigslist for a day or two to remove that post. Let's say I get busy or I'm lazy, whatever the case is. Well, people can go to my website because it's on every picture, and they can then see if that deal is available or sold. But additionally, they can see other deals that I have for sale that I'm not
That
even
is right.
marketing to them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's another really, really important thing. Whenever we send out an email, and this requires more of a website than if you're just using like a Google photo or something like that. But when we send out an email for a deal, we point everybody at the home page, not that particular property listing page. Reason is A, that deal may have already sold. So why would I want them to just leave, right? And B, there may be a better deal for them on our website that they aren't looking at. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a different deal that I'm marketing, right? That they go to check out and they get to my homepage and they see that I have 6, 7, 8, 10, sometimes 15 properties for sale, and they find a different one or a better one that fits their needs.
I
So
like
there's
that.
no magic secret on building your buyers list. A lot of it just comes down to just hustle, get out to those RIAs, find those buyers, get those business cards, build relationships, market your properties on different channels. So Craigslist, Facebook groups for real estate. And then of course, just on your own, your own social media, that always helps too. And then what will happen is people will organically want to be added to that list. So like our list right now it's quite large. It's maybe 10 or 12,000 depending on the zip code
Wow.
that we have. But here's the thing, again, if you are listening and you're like, holy cow, 10,000, like I'll never get there. A, don't underestimate yourself. And B, you only need one buyer to buy your deal. You don't need 10,000. So having the list helps because you can reach more people, obviously, but it can also hurt. So here's an example of how having a big list is inefficient. Let's say I send out an email to 8,000 people and the first phone call I get sells the deal. Well, guess what? There's 7,999 people that may have interest in that deal, but it's sold. So guess what
Exactly.
happens to my phone? Ring, 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 ring all day long for the next 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's sometimes disadvantages of having these large, buyer pools, buyer or cash buyers lists. So what I try to tell all my students is before you spend money on AdWords or Facebook marketing or YouTube marketing to try to build that list, go to your local RIAs and find the guys that are doing the business, right? Those are the best buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
On our list of 8,000 in that scenario, there may only be 50 to 100 people that are even actively buying right now because
That's
as
right.
we all know, money comes and goes. You may get a good chunk of cash from a fix and flip or a bonus at your job, whatever. And then you go spend it on a rental property and then you're cash tight again.
That's right.
And then you might not be buying for a few months, right? So having a big buyers list, again, it has advantages, but it also has disadvantages too.
Cool. Yeah, it's you guys. The one thing I learned about you guys are just consistent, persistent, just out there getting it done. I know you guys have got a tons of system. I was checking out kind of the free training that you had on your website. It was just like all of this detail, and I recommend everyone to go check it out. But kind of moving it forward, to kind of know a little bit more about you. What's kind of like a typical day? I know it's taking calls, going on leads, and doing this, but you guys have tons of stuff that you guys are doing. So what's kind of like do you have any specific morning routines and what's kind of typical day for you?
I try to work out in the morning. I don't always get it in. I didn't get it in this morning. I played hockey late last night, but I try to work out in the morning. I try to, meditate for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I don't do it every day. I need to do it more, but I like to kind of clear my head and just get that out of the way in the morning. Get a workout in, get a good breakfast, maybe do a little meditation. And then I typically head to the office around 8 or 8:30. And I'm typically in my CRM until about noon. I'm looking at any of the new leads that came in. I'm looking at what my team's doing in order, to, get in front of those people or set appointments. I'm typically following up with appointments that I ran last week or the last month, following up people that I maybe sent an offer to 2 or 3 months ago. This business is all about follow-up. Like there's 2 things that you have to get really good at if you want to be a good wholesaler. and or investor. It doesn't really matter. You could pick either route there. But one, you need to get good at marketing. And I'm not saying you need to be an expert at it. Really what I mean is you need to do it. You just need to start doing it. Like there's really no bad marketing, right? We do bandit signs, we do mail, we do postcards, we do skip tracing, which leads to cold calling or cold texting. We do AdWords. We're not doing Facebook currently, just haven't been able to figure that out in terms of finding those motivated sellers. I mentioned that we do the radios too. So we have a bunch of different avenues that we use to get our message out to the public. We want to let them know that we can solve their problem if they're willing to make it a win-win for us, like I had mentioned earlier. So my day typically consists in the morning from anywhere between 8 and 9 is when I get in until about noon. I'm usually at my computer, at my desk, making follow-up calls, figuring out if a property is going to be closing or not and what I can do to help assist my team get that done. And then in the afternoons from maybe 12:30 or 1 after I eat lunch, from maybe let's say 1 till about 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm usually out in the field. I'm either driving for dollars, I'm running appointments, running by a project that we're rehabbing for either our rental portfolio or a fix and flip. And I like to be out in the field. So I really enjoy being out in the field. I know a lot of investors don't like being out in the field, and that's the first thing they want to do is replace the acquisition side of it. I kind of took the approach of, well, instead of replacing myself, why don't I just triple myself, right? So I hired 2 people that also do acquisitions with me. But I actually truly enjoy doing that. I like going out and I like meeting that motivated seller. I love being able to offer somebody a solution. Again, I don't do it for free. I got to get a discount, right?
Exactly.
But I love offering people solutions to their problems. And man, like I'm not trying to boast myself here, but like I love whenever a motivated seller gives me a hug at the closing table and like starts crying. Not because it's a bad cry, it's a happy cry, right?
To solve their problem.
Oh my goodness. So like in the last 6 months, I probably had 4 or 5 people at the title company break down, cry, give me a hug saying, you just solved all my problems.
Wow.
And they know they're giving me a discount. They know they're leaving money on the table. They get that. I make that very clear to them, right? But it's simple, it's fast, it's easy. And that's what I do. I provide convenience. It's that simple, guys. Convenience. And I just love solving people's problems. And I also love getting properties at 50, 60, maybe 70 cents on the dollar on the high side, but typically closer to 50 or 60 cents on the dollar. And then having the ability to decide, what do I want to do next? Do I want to keep it? Do I want to flip it? Do I want to wholesale it? And just kind of go from there.
Beautiful. I always ask my my guests every time I have them on, what are you most grateful for?
Man, I am most grateful. Whew, that's a good question. I'm a very grateful person in general. Gratitude is one of the things that I think about hourly, probably. So one of the things that I'm grateful for today is my wife. I love my wife, and she is my rock. So I'm probably most grateful today for her, but every day that changes, man. I have a big gratitude mindset.
Beautiful. David, it was awesome talking to you, learning so much. I got in early when I first started my real estate venture in wholesaling and fix and flip. So me and you just really connected. Like I said, it was just good hearing about how your systems and how you just growing your business and just killing it. And again, I encourage a lot of people to reach out. Like I said, you have an awesome educational platform. It seems like you just love to give and give. I mean, the information you gave on it with us, people can get started with that alone. So how do people get in touch with you? Yeah,
absolutely, man. Like, so many people helped me get to where I'm at now. And I don't even look at myself as like the expert, like probably am. I do 100 houses a year. Like that's pretty impressive, but I got friends doing 500, 600 a year, right? So it's like, man, I got a ways to go. But I just, really like giving back. So many people have helped me along my journey, and I love to help people along their journey. So again, I do have a book, but I'm not here to sell that book. Really, what I would say is if you want more information on wholesaling, check out the free course. Not selling anything. I'm going to say it again. It's free. And it's going to break down what wholesaling is, how it works, and how you can get started. The only thing that I do want to plug is if you want to connect with me, check me out on Instagram. My handle is my full name, David, D-A-V-I-D, Allen, A-L-A-N, Dodge, my full name. And Dodge is spelled like the car, D-O-D-G-E. If you have questions or you want to reach out about anything that I'm doing, connect with me on Instagram. It's my favorite platform. I prefer that over email because I'm actually in there more than I am in my email. Don't tell my business partners. But that's really where I love connecting with people. If you have questions for me after, watching this, that's where you can reach out to me. And again, I'm grateful for you, for your time today and for you having me on your show. So thank you.
Absolutely. David, thank you so much again. We'll make sure to have all that information to the show notes. But again, we'll look forward to connect with you soon, brother.
Let's
Kill
do
it down there and, stay cool. I know it's warm down there. So
Man,
we'll
it's
talk
hot
to you
today.
soon.
95, man. I'm ready for this like 50, 60 degree weather. So
Sounds good. We're waiting for it. All right, David, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.